Okay, hello, everyone. Welcome. We are very happy to have everyone with us today. This is the second event in the series of four of the 2021 FOLA, which is the Festival of Literary Arts. And we're very happy that each of you has decided to join us. The FOLA, Festival of Literary Arts, is presented by the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council through the Office of the Poet Laureate. My name is Sistah Joy, and I am the inaugural Poet Laureate of Prince George's County. Today's forum is a free virtual poetry event presented in partnership with the Prince George's County Memorial Library Service, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, and the Nora Brown Foundation. Thank you to each of you for joining us for this afternoon's event. And I'm honored to host today's FOLA and doubly honored to present my co-host and co-facilitator of today's forum, none other than Maryland State Poet Laureate Grace Cavalieri.
Thank you, Joy. You are just the radiant thing happening in Maryland. Always. I'm just thrilled to sit in your glow.
Well, let me tell the folks a little bit more about you. Not that you're not known, but for those who want to know more, Grace Cavalieri is the 10th Poet Laureate of the state of Maryland. She was appointed by Governor Larry Hogan in 2018. Now, Grace Cavalieri is the author of, hold on, over 40 books, not 40 books and chapbooks of poetry and plays. She is the host of the 40 plus year series, The Poet and the Poem, formerly aired on WPFW, more recently through the Library of Congress, and even more recently through Zoom. She is also a prolific playwright, 26 plays. Don't know when she sleeps. She's a novelist and more. She recently added to her list of credits and accomplishments, visual artist. So she is, she doesn't sleep. We know either that or she has a clone. I don't know which. She has 4 children, 4 grandchildren, and 1 great grandchild, if my stats are current. And she knows what it means to be woke. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you. That all that means is that I'm very old.
No,
I'm very old. I've had a lot of years to do that, and I just did 1 a year. So thank you so much for your generosity, Joy. I've known you for 30 years.
At least.
Yeah. And I've never seen anything come out of you that did not make everyone better than they are. So this is going to be a very cool time.
Well, thank you. Well, in addition to having the excellence of Grace Cavalieri with us today, we also have the privilege of engaging in conversation and sharing with the 2021 Youth Poet Laureate and the 2021 Youth Poetry Ambassadors, and at least the 2020 Youth Poet Laureate, because Marissa Michelle is definitely with us. Let's see, is Saini Cisse with us today?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Okay, well, I will save her bio information for a little bit later. Hopefully she will be joining us. But as stated earlier, we have several of the teen poetry ambassadors of Dialect of Prince George's with us. And just for purposes of clarity, Dialect of Prince George's is the organization that manages and coordinates the Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate Program, which is in its 6th year of grooming, mentoring, and guiding the bright literary minds of Prince George's County teens who express an interest in developing their poetry and leadership skills through poetry performance, but also through community service. Now, these teens have been traveling throughout the county, and of course, this was before COVID, but now they're doing it virtually, just like we're doing today. They're speaking at festivals, at town hall meetings, and other community events that can benefit from a youth perspective. And of course, that means everywhere. So the very first step to a professional career as a writer and public speaker, perhaps to one day go on to larger platforms, such as the one being occupied recently by the incomparable Amanda Gorman, who said during a recent interview with former First Lady Michelle Obama, poetry is the lens we use to interrogate the history we stand on and the future we stand for. Now, I believe that clearly captures for many of us what the youth poetry ambassadors in particular and what poetry itself is, at least for one of the major purposes of poetry. One other great luminary who is now with the ancestors said, fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. Those words were penned by the incomparable Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Justice, U.S. Supreme Court. So as you can see, we're taking this poetry thing very seriously. And it is my honor today to welcome the teen poets. I have some names here and I'm not sure who's already in the house, but I'm gonna ask if we can start out by having Marissa Michelle to share a little bit about yourself and then to share one poem. And because time constraints are what they are, they should not be epic in length. But Marissa Michelle, could you please share a poem and tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Of course, thank you. I'm so honored to be here. I'm Marissa Michelle. I'm a junior at Sidwell Friends High School. I was the 2020 Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate, as well as the 2020 Diaz-Madison Poetry Prize winner and recipient of multiple national gold medals in poetry and the Scholastic Arts and Writing Awards. I'm so happy to share my work here and to see everybody. I would like to share this poem titled "The Birds Left Us." I am currently a finalist in the Joseph McPherson Poetry Competition because of this poem, so fingers crossed, but it's called "The Birds Left Us." The birds left us in the hours when shadows dance, a smooth and rhythmic waltz over our naked streets and cracked sidewalks. In our waking moments, the first thing we notice is the silence. Emptiness hanging dry in the air like clothesline laundry. Exhaustion imprinted on our bones, sleep still hovering above our eyes, our bodies sway like dandelions in the infant morning. Yesterday, the children carried the wind on their backs and drank sunlight under the ceiba trees, left footprints in the coffee-colored soil. Chaos follows the birth of the new day. It ignites in our hearts and spreads like wildfire. My grandmother clenches her bony hands around the Bible, palms wrinkled and calloused, a testament to aging. She devours holy words with the hunger of a starved animal, spits out psalms like papaya seeds. We press our hands, delicate as paper cranes to our temples, our heads bowed beneath the weight of fear or hope. The sediment forces hollow valleys into our knees and pushes train track lines into our legs. I wonder where the birds have gone. The beat of my heart is rhythmic. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. The start to an unfinished symphony. Escaping from my throat, a warbled cry, too ugly to be song, too bold to be the humble notes of mourning. I feel a brush against the cage of my ribs, a flapping, a forceful push, something like feathers, something like wings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, that was Marissa Michelle. And I think it was very fine that we had our first poem by a youth poet laureate today. And this is a title, as many of you realize, once you're appointed the position of, in her case, 2020 Youth Poet Laureate of Prince George's County, she carries that moniker for life. She is not simply the poet laureate, the Youth Poet Laureate for that year. There will never be another 2020 Youth Poet Laureate. So thank you very much, Michelle, for the service that you gave during 2020, but also for I know what you will continue to present everywhere you go, the excellence that you carry within. Okay, now we're going to flip back because this is an intergenerational event. So we started with the youth because today's event is very much trying to engage the different generations. And Grace and I represent different generations from the youth that are on this call, but we're going to now hear from Grace Cavalieri, one of her poems that she feels is appropriate for beginning or helping to lay the foundation for today's workshop or forum, I'll say, because today is less of a workshop and more of a forum. So we'll see what evolves. It may turn more into a workshop. It may, that'll be depending upon the participants. But Grace, what would you care to offer by way of the opening piece?
Thank you. Well, I was born in the early part of the 20th century. And at that time, women did not have much of a voice, actually. And in fact, I taught at Antioch College, and I had a book of 500 pages, and there were 5 women in them. And that was in the 70s. So, and Lucille Clifton happily was one of them. But so I've seen a lot happen in the 50 years that I've been practicing a poet. And I have seen such beautiful things from the young people. I have just returned from a 7-day residency at Mercersburg Academy in Pennsylvania, where I taught virtually for 6 days. And half of their population is from Nigeria, from China, from Czechoslovakia. It was really amazing to see. But here's what I got. Every one of them had the same wants and the same needs. And all you have to do is immerse yourself with young people for 6 days, morning, noon, and night, and you will see there is nothing, no walls between us. However, when I was young, and actually Princeton didn't even admit women when I graduated from high school, not that I could have gotten in, but I'm just saying what the time of year was. Since then, I have seen women saying very strong things. But in my era, our mothers didn't even drive cars, actually. They were very oppressed. And at that time, they thought poetry was just icing on the cake. You know, let's read a poem instead of giving a fashion show. So that is not the way poetry is. And that is why I'm going to read this poem called How a Poem Begins. It's a little thing, could be the long O's in Kosovo, or a woman alone in the street after the hurricane sweeping Honduras. Perhaps we tell of a child beneath the flood in New Orleans, or feet bloody from walking the rubble of Afghanistan. Such a tiny voice, no one can hear. Sometimes it says, I can't breathe. That's why we write of such little things, insignificant things. Thank you.
Wow, Grace Cavalieri. Yes, yes, yes. Of course, that's why she's Maryland State Poet Laureate. Thank you so very much. Now, let's see. I see we have Joran is with us today. Joran is a member of the Dialect team. And I'm going to ask Joran if she will please tell us something about herself and then share a poem. Joran, would you please?
Hi, my name is Joran Ellison, and I am one of the youth poet ambassadors. I represent Clinton, Maryland, and I'm a junior at Frederick Douglass High School. Hopefully you can't hear the plane in the background, but I'm pleased to be here. And in the spirit of this intergenerational forum, the poem I'll read is called Honor the Ancestors Who Are Here. Looking into your brown eyes, filled with spots of sadness and hints of rage, I see the journey. How you fought to be here so I could be here. Only your mirror knows your secrets. Only your sheets know the taste of your tears. Only your room knows the sound of your cries. Too tough to show all of the cracks. Wouldn't want me to know all of the pain. wouldn't want it to spread to me. You must stand in front of the raging tsunami, blocking me from crashing waves, shielding me from the shadows of dead things, my own personal dam. Protection is all you know when it comes to me, and protection that was built out of lack thereof in childhood, roses and white picket fences replaced with white sheets and thorns, but I choose to build you a new fence and grow you a new garden. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Joran. And Joran is very much one who takes writing seriously. I've been privileged to hear many of her works, and I look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to have her participate in future events through the Office of the Poet Laureate as well. Thank you again, Joran Ellison. Okay, we do have Michaela Lacy. Michaela Lacy is one of the past Youth Poets Laureate. And Michaela, we haven't been in touch as much as I would like as of late, but you know I'm a fan. I had Michaela on my television show, and she just blew us out of the water. So Michaela is a transplant from Milwaukee. I'm going to ask Michaela, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and then offer your first poem of the afternoon? Michaela Lacy.
Hi, everybody. I'm so honored to be here. I miss Maryland. I miss Prince George's County so much. And I'm so honored to be in the presence of all of you. Marissa, you and I were a part of the 2018 Ambassador Program together. So congratulations to you. I always knew that you were amazing. And so to see your brilliance continue to grow and manifest, like, just warms my heart. Like Sister Joy said, I'm Michaela Lacy. Poetry is my life. It's what allowed me to be able to articulate the things that were in my soul and that tended to never be said out loud. And it also was the thing that I used to be able to have conversations about what was happening in my world and in the world around me. This poem, I like to open with this poem just because I think that it's important to center Black joy. As a Black person, I think that we consume a lot of trauma and we consume a lot of the dark parts of our realities and our history. And so this poem is called Ode to Joyful Black Boys. I've heard tale of Black boys who see skies in different colors, kiss their mothers with the same lips they breathe life into airless bodies with. I heard they know where God keeps his gold watches. They can pull the pure out of preachers. They can outrise Jesus and sometimes Buddha too. They know all the jazz notes, so they never have to sing the blues. They wrap their hair in blue, do-rags, flowers, and bonnets too. They burn incense just to shift their mood. They don't lie, for the cops won't bother them here. They don't die, for the cops won't bother them here. They never have to outlive their brothers. They never have to apologize to their mothers. They just be, they just smile. They're just Black. They're just Black boys and Black girls living and dreaming. I know they exist. Thank you.
Yes, Michaela Lacy, I have missed you, my sister.
I have missed you more.
Oh, thank you so much. This is going to be a wonderful afternoon. Let's see, do we have, let's see, is Ariana, or let's see, Deja, I believe is with us. Deja Epps, can we have Deja to say a few words about yourself and then offer us your first poem for the afternoon? Deja, welcome. Let's see what.
Hello, my name is Deja. I am the Youth Poet Ambassador representing Upper Marlboro, Maryland. And just like Michaela, I feel like poetry was kind of that translation of things that were bottled up inside. And it's just an art form that I feel like I can really express myself. And not only is it therapy for me, but it inspires other people to express themselves. So that's what poetry is for me. And my poem is called Vessel of Captivity. And I apologize, there's a dog barking in the back.
Okay, you're alive.
Okay. I feel it in my bones, that priority of a war machine malfunctioning to stay together. Whether the battle is in her heart, her mind, or her soul, or out in the world, those bones still shake. That vessel cries out and quakes, struggling to hold the rocky and faulted foundations of a person from defaulted self-destruction. How my body can uphold chains without the mass or a tested upper body strength. Yet there's no strength left to spare, none to even hold up miracles light as feathers. You know, God's innocent blessings that can transform feeble arms into eagle wings, phenomenons that come like rainbows after the scene of derecho storms. See, these feathers are not visible, no, but the pain is so real and physical. It's like a carousel of an existent same song bound to creatures with no life or love. Their only desire is to make me nauseous, distracted, and sitting down lifeless. How demons can cast spells of achiness, breathlessness, dizziness, and angriness, burning out the flame, my fire of faith and ambition. A creation of separations from goals and what I can only accomplish while being sick, tired, and anxious. Oh, how I pray to the Lord to bestow an uplifting cane, a miracle to complete psyche salvation. Thank you.
Oh, snaps, snaps, snaps. Thank you so much. Again, Deja Epps, thank you for being with us, and thank you for that beautiful offering right now. Let's see, do we have any of the other dialect teams? As a matter of fact, if you have not yet spoken and you're a dialect team, can you put your name and put dialect beside your name in the chat? I want to make sure that I do acknowledge and invite to participate any dialect teams that are with us. Ariana, I see you're there. So let's see. Ariana Bosley could, let's see, I believe you're with Dialect. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Excuse me. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, first of all, welcome to this intergenerational forum that hopefully we can initiate some connections today that have long-lasting ramifications. Please, Ariana, tell us a little bit about yourself and then give us your first offering of the day.
All right, well, as you guys know, my name is Ariana. I'm a youth poet ambassador for representing Brandywine. I am a junior currently in Frederick Douglass High School, and I just turned 17 just yesterday. So
oh, happy
cool.
birthday.
Thank you.
Fellow Aries. Yeah, me too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, April.
Oh, wow. So yeah, the poem I decided to recite is called Growing Up, considering we're talking about intergenerational relationships. So yeah, it kind of talks about growing up and, you know, being away from your parents. So here we go. When we're ripe enough, we leap from our trees. We brace ourselves for the pains of growing. We drop to our knees. Who knew growing up would be as hard as the hide of an apple? We're forced to learn so many things, so many new things. Our minds just can't grapple. As the saying goes, the apple never falls far from the tree. Well, it's true, because when we need guidance, we need you close to come through. When we're a grown tree, after you've nurtured us from a sapling, we have you to thank for helping us with adapting. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for that. Thank you very much. Very reflective from a young person's perspective, acknowledging the need for family and those forces that secure and empower us. So I appreciate that.
Honoring her parents is very touching.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's see, let's see, Ariana Dialect. No other names, and yeah, we want to say happy birthday again. That was wonderful. So how about I share a poem? And this is, let's see, Maybe I'll do one that Grace has heard before because she was instrumental in its writing, having invited one of my poetry groups to participate at the Italian Embassy for her event, Voice as Bridge. So this is titled Voice as Bridge 2. Sound, profane or profound, resonates, reverberates throughout our psyche, affecting us, connecting us to choices, influencing our voice, creating our own personal cosmos. Beyond sound, even beyond word, voice tells our story, uniting or dividing, freeing or confining. Which mode does your soul claim as home? Voice reveals our history, unveils our mystery, testifying through tone, precipitating from perception's cloud, erupting from vaults once shrouded in silence. This is where voice is born. Voice makes us not just hear, but see reality with our third eye. Possibility come to life. It is the thread woven from thought, dream, faith, even scheme, exposing that flicker, that first flicker of truth or deceit that comes when silence is broken. Voice is precious, not to be wasted, used trivially, nor hastily. For voice has no undoing. Sound, his sister. Thought, his master. Manifestations made real through immutable utterance of victory or disaster. There is power in the tongue. Once released, voice can bind or shatter, but can best be found when bound to love. Yes, to love, claiming calm, comfort, connection. This is when voice has power beyond words, speaks loudest of all, not when heard, but felt in hearts. It is then, this is when voice truly becomes bridge. So I think we've each now shared at least one piece to lay the platform for our conversation today. If we do have other members of Dialect to join as we proceed, please, I hope they will put their name and put Dialect beside their name in the chat so that I'll know to call on them as a participant. I do have a few other names that were forwarded to me that would be with us. So we want to make sure we give everyone an opportunity to be a part of the conversation. Now, we've all talked about how we can use poetry to give voice to our issues, our concerns, our passions. But we do have some opportunity here to see how can we connect? How can we find ways for the generations in particular? And that's why this is an intergenerational forum. So I'm going to ask, and I'll start with, let's see, I think Marissa, being the senior youth poet laureate on board, will perhaps field our first question. How can we, teens and adults, build bridges that offer understanding and insight through poetry? Marissa, could you speak to that for us?
Of course. I think, and I'll relate it to myself, because to me, poetry is all about connections and connecting with other people, and especially intergenerational relationships, because a lot of my poems are inspired by my grandparents and conversations that I had with my grandparents and their lives. And therefore my reflections on that and also on myself. So because I feel like poetry, writing stays around forever once it's out there in the world, no matter how old it is. And I think it's so amazing to be able to look at that and read someone else's story and connect to it and write your own and have that added to this long history. So I feel like in every way, poetry is about connecting, have a conversation with someone else, write about it, think about it, reflect on it. So that, I hope, is a good answer to that, is just, talk and write. And that's, I think, the best way to use poetry as a vessel for connection.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm going to ask if my co-facilitator, Grace Cavalieri, would care to present a topic, either in the form of dialogue or question. Grace?
Sure. I would like to respond to Marissa because it was a very profound thing she's talking about. The fact that she has her grandparents as inspiration, and she just, you see, in poetry, there is no ageism because the heart has no time clock on it. And since poetry comes from the heart, then we are all the same. That is the great place where we meet. Poetry is from the heart. Scholarship is from the brain. So all of you who are poets I know that you're my family. I am safe with you. I know that I can say anything with you because poetry is a certain population. It's a like consciousness, and there really is not that much of a divide. So I would like to continue with this thought that Marissa raises, in that how is it that is it because we respect our ancestors so much that we don't look down on older poets? That we don't say, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, oh my gosh, they don't know what it's like now to be 15 years old in 2021. I don't hear that. I don't hear that. And why is that? Is it because we value our ancestors so much? And as one beautiful poet said, our ancestors who are still with us. Was that Michaela who said that? It was a beautiful line. So I would like to throw this out on the table to have anyone respond. Why do you think that in the world there's so much ageism, but in poetry there is not? I just want to tell you something funny. There was a little survey that came up and it said, if you answer this survey, you will get $5. So I thought, fine, good, I'll answer the survey and get $5. So I gave them my age and they said, never mind. Because they didn't think I had that much long to buy their stuff.
Oh gosh.
But in poetry, that is not happening. It doesn't happen. So I would like to hear about why it is that you do think that all of us are the same age in poetry. Why is that?
Well, I want to say one thing, and that's based on what you just offered, Grace. And that I see that ultimately poetry is the great equalizer. I think that's one thing that we all have acknowledged in this circle, that the more we have to contribute, we understand that poetry, we're looking to glean from those who have traveled this journey longest. We're looking to glean from them and grow from their experience, their wisdom. And I'm hoping that I can glean from you today, Grace. And
I already did. I have already learned so much from these young people.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'll step back, and we're going to come back to Saini Cisse a little bit later, because, well, maybe Saini would be the one to answer the first question from Grace Cavalieri, since I didn't yet have a chance to have her speak. Saini, welcome to today's forum, and please introduce yourself to the group, and then answer Grace's question, please, and she can repeat it if that's necessary.
Okay, hi everyone. Sorry I was a bit late. I was having Zoom issues and stuff. So yeah, my name is Saini Cisse. I'm 19 years old, and I am the 2021 Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate. So that was a very interesting question that you asked about like ageism, because that's also something that like has been bothering me, just like reflecting on like the ageism that we have in our society. But I think in poetry, why it's not as big of a thing is because, well, at least for me, like I look up to those people who have been in the art form and who have, you know, paved the way and, you know, just passed the torch and given us the space to, you know, evolve and grow. So I feel like, yes, you can also like innovate, but it's also very important for me to look to the past and see what's been done and, you know, gain inspiration and wisdom from that. So I think that's something that's very valuable. And I think poetry can be more of a like introspective art form. And it's like you have to know where we've been to, you know, think about where we're going to go. So I think that's why. And then also like, you know, I feel like in a sense, like everything kind of has already been said. Like, yes, we bring like a new way of delivering those things, but like everything that's to be felt has been felt, you know, everything to be experienced has been experienced in some way. So I think that's also why poetry is able to, you know, just live on and hold that weight and continue to be relevant.
Hold that
you,
weight.
son.
Hold that weight.
Well, how do we convey that to the population at large? That's the thing. I mean, you know, we see these cycles happening again and again with certainly with the issues of the day, the social issues in our politics and the civil rights struggle. And yet it's like when politicians come in, they want to wipe away any progress that the previous elected official had made and put their own stamp on it to the degree that they cannot possibly allow any remnant of what success may have been, you know, accomplished to the point that we never get off the starting point. We never proceed or progress beyond those points that allow true progress to be made. So I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree. We've got it together in the poetry world. People are looking to see what was done before. They hold in high esteem and regard those who have labored and given and made accomplishments. But it seems that that's not the way of the world. How can we change that?
I'd like to kind of speak on that.
Yes. Yes.
Also, hi, Sandy. I'm a big fan. Congratulations. I can't wait to hear your work. But I think that the interesting thing about poetry and how it directly connects to ageism is that a lot of times ageism, or more so adultism, to me is the erasure of youth voice. And sometimes we find ourselves, I know that as a newer adult, that even I sometimes have to check myself about what I think I know and what I think people younger than me know. And poetry makes it impossible for a lot of the things that we as young folks are taught to believe to exist. For example, I remember being told very young by many people that children are to be seen and not heard, and seen as little as possible. And in poetry, there is no such thing as being seen and not heard. There is no such thing as just existing in a space without contributing thoughts and ideas. I think that the more that we as adults step outside of our egos and our self-proclaimed wisdom, because a lot of it is self-proclaimed, we will find that the same access to wisdom that we have earned can be extended to youth, as long as we are optimistic and as long as we are willing to help push toward that goal. And so I believe that poetry is a great example of ways in which that can work. Just like conversations like these, conversations with different generations, poetry is the platform, but it is not by any means the only way that it can happen. But I appreciate so much that poetry allows it to happen because it's so necessary.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. We have such thought leaders in this group. Thank you, Michaela Lacy.
And Sister Joy,
yes.
I would like to honor you for a moment because Michaela brings out a very important thing, platform. If we do not have the venues to stand up and be seen publicly, and that is one thing you have gone and done for Prince George's County, which radiates nationally. You have given a place for us to be heard. And that if Amanda Gorman had not been given the place at the table she had, she would still be sitting in her room doing beautiful lyrics. So the fact is that all of us have a responsibility to create a venue. And I put poetry on the air 45 years ago because I knew, why should they have cornflakes and not poetry on the air? But the point is that every one of us can find a little place to put up a soapbox and put a poet up there, start a magazine, start a poetry reading, and follow Sister Joy's example because she has turned a mud puddle into the greatest art center in Maryland. And I've raised 4 children in Prince George's County, so I know what she's done to the arts were not there before. They were not there before. So the venue that Michaela speaks of indirectly is what Sister Joy has brought and what each of us have the responsibility to bring one other poet up and shine the light on that other poet. Because how else, it's a chain. How else can it be heard?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Grace. And that is something that if ever there was something I'm passionate about, it's the fact that once you acknowledge that you're a part of the poetry community, then you automatically have not just an opportunity, but a responsibility to create awareness and opportunities for others. There is no one that is going to give you permission. Don't wait for permission. It's not about that. You have to be the one that says, this needs to happen. And I'm not looking over my shoulder to see who's going to say, yes, you're right, or this is how it can happen. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to create mistakes along the way, but ultimately, the good is going to outweigh the negative. And when you create something that is worthy, others will come. You know how it was said in the movie, build it and they will come. They have come. I'm a witness. And I know I'm at the end of my 3-year term. This September concludes my 3 years. I don't know what's going to happen then, but I'm fairly satisfied with the track record I've created thus far. I'm always looking to do more. That's probably the one thing that is going to be just like, okay, will she ever shut up and sit down? No, I've got too much to do. And there's less time in front of me than there was behind me. And I'm very aware of that. So I believe in this poetry thing enough to say it's worth doing all I can while I have this opportunity. So I hope everybody on this call will embrace that philosophy and make it happen. You can be the one you could be, I don't want to say the next Amanda Gorman, because Amanda Gorman is doing her thing. She's not waiting for anybody. Will you be the next Michaela Lacy, Marissa Michelle, Saini Cisse, Andre Taylor, Catrice Greer? Will you be the one that creates the opportunities that make a difference, whether it be in Prince George's County or throughout the state of Maryland or in America or the world? I'll stop there. But Saini, did we get to hear a poem from you? Saini?
No, I came home.
You responded to Grace's question.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that you have an equal opportunity with your peers because they all presented a poem at their initial offering. So Saini Cisse, please offer us your poem of introduction for today's forum.
Okay, so this poem kind of touches on ageism. So I kind of want to do it. It's titled, well, it touches on a lot of different things, but it's titled Girls and Cars. It's a shorter piece. So let me just. Tired, so she has miles on her, diagnosed as ran through the girl, seen as skid mark under rubber tire, tired to be a ride or die or belong to the streets. You honk a horn to get her attention somewhere. The two became synonymous, girl and car fraternal in a man's mind, it seems. All just something to own anyway. Calculated property value in miles on the sidewalk. You tell her to smile. Tell her to close her legs before she's ran through, because over time, the body begins to depreciate in value. You call the girl car. Call the girl Ferrari, Porsche, Mercedes, Benz, and call it a compliment. Like it ain't a roundabout way to call the girl property. So that's that piece.
Thank you. Saini Cisse. Words have such power. Thank you so much. I love that. I loved it the first time I heard it, and I got a different nuance even more so today. So thank you very much. Okay. And please, for the benefit of those that are with us here on Zoom, and if you're comfortable providing your contact information, please put your contact information, everybody, in the chat, so that perhaps persons that are not a part of the dialogue, but want to be a part of, know more about what it is you're doing, they have a way to be in touch with you. And I will likewise put mine in put it under everyone, simply Sistah Joy at PGAHC, and that stands for Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. Let's see, Sistah Joy at pgahc.org. That allows you to be in touch about poetry matters that are happening in and around, or at least generated through the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council and the Office of the Poet Laureate. Now, one of the things I want to make sure that everybody on this call, if you're a poet and you're on this call accordingly, you want to make sure that you have registered as an artist on the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council website. Again, that website is www.pgahc.org. And there is a Poet Laureate page that you can visit, but there is a artist registration or artist registry that enables you to be among those artists that when the Arts Council is looking for participants in events and activities, your name and your bio information is on there. You're in the circle of candidates to be considered, whether it's a paid opportunity or an opportunity to participate, or an opportunity for somebody to say, we're looking for a youth poet who speaks on the issues of da-da-da-da-da, then your name is in the hat. So the artist registry is actually for all genre, but certainly we want to make sure that poets in Prince George's County are in that registry. So please do become familiar with the website. And if you're interested, of course, in finding out about other things that the Arts Council is doing, such as grants, we are the funding source. I say we because the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council is the funding source for the arts in Prince George's County. So if you have a project that you want to pursue, then look to see if there is a way that the Arts Council can offer grant funding through its grants opportunities. So let's see, I know we're speaking on intergenerational issues, but I start wearing the hat of Poet Laureate and it kind of spills over. I want to make sure we cover as much information as possible. So also, we want to, let's see, there is back to the subject at hand. There is a short film, and maybe some of you have seen it. It's titled Two Distant Strangers. And if you have not, I believe it's maybe on Netflix, but Two Distant Strangers, I probably don't want to get too much into it because I don't like to tell the story before a person sees the film, but it deals with the social issues of the day and police brutality and the struggle of Black Americans and how the challenge of just connecting different segments of our culture happens or doesn't happen. So you can Google it. It's, let's see, yeah, Two Distant Strangers. I think it's a 2020 film. It might be a 2021, but it's a short film, only 32 minutes. So it's powerful in those 32 minutes. Please do, if you're looking for something to address the social commentary of the day, that film does it. Okay, so then we want to move on to another question. A lot of times people don't speak to the issues of the day because they don't want to rock the boat. They say, well, you know, I've got enough on my plate. I'm in school. I'm trying to do this poetry thing. I have family members that I can't, can't step outside of everything that's going on. But what is a possible alternative when you're saying that, you just don't have time to create, to pick up the megaphone and be the spokesperson? How can you, rather than to take the position of not rocking the boat, that you don't have time, how can you, or how have you, because I should say, because you all have done this, what is your avenue for taking on that role of advocate and activist as a poet in Prince George's County? And let's see, maybe we'll hear from Ariana on that question. And if somebody else wants to address it, please do.
Well, I would definitely support, let's say you see that there aren't that many Black businesses. Well, you go out and you support the Black businesses that are there. You bring awareness to the situation. You maybe make like an Instagram post about it, or I mean, even if you're not explicitly writing a poetry piece, you can still donate to like charities and things that will definitely benefit people who are struggling with different issues. Like, for example, I know I've heard a lot recently about Asian American and Pacific Islander hate, and they're trying to bring more awareness and things to the situation. You could definitely support them, support different foundations. Yeah, you may not necessarily have to be the one, starting up the efforts, but just supporting everything will really be of a lot of help. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's a very good point. You don't have to be the brainchild behind it. You can find those things that are worthy of your energies. And of course, you do have to be discerning. You can't be everything to everybody. So select where it is you want to direct your energies. But absolutely, that is one way that can be very effective. And if it's not, just because it's not your brainchild doesn't mean that you can't contribute to it. Trust me, there are organizations and efforts, initiatives that are begging for people to come their way, that have, that thought leadership, and that have a voice that can make a difference in their efforts. Let's see, Joran, can we get some feedback on that from you as well?
I think for me, it's my poetry is the, I guess, most widespread way that I advocate. I don't know, I personally made clubs at my school to advocate for the mental health of students. So I guess I do other stuff, but I feel poetry is, I guess, my favorite way to advocate, because with my poetry, usually the goal of basically every poem is to spark a conversation amongst people and the listeners. And in my eyes, the first step in change is to have a conversation about it. So you can execute a plan, figure out what the issue is in the first place. And I think so many things, sometimes people underestimate the power of words, but also just conversation in general and how that can lead to like vast amount of change.
Thank you, Joran. Well, I want to challenge each person who's on this forum today as we talk about the ways that we can, as poets, help to end some of the schism between generations. Let's make sure that we're reaching out to different generations other than our own when we are putting together programs and when we're having conversations and dialogue. Let's be sure that we are leading by example. So certainly when I host events, I'm always making the effort to reach out certainly to Patrick Washington and for the Dialect community, but also there are organizations that have youth engagement. There are senior organizations that I reach out to as well. So I'm kind of in the middle, and so there's plenty of opportunity that we just need to avail ourselves to. And if there's a leader in a particular group, connect with that leader and tap into the resources that they bring to your attention. We don't have to be the ones to spearhead or conceptualize or even develop an idea. Sometimes it's just, one of our attendees today, Listen is a poem that Bernardo Taylor wrote. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So take a tip, I'm not going to give his whole poem, but Bernardo, maybe you'll share it before the day is over. But we definitely want to understand that as poets, yes, our thing is that we want to share, but we also want to make sure that we're not just champing at the bit, waiting to share our poem. We want to listen to our community, to our people. There's so much wisdom to be gained when we listen to what is happening around us. Grace, yes.
Well, I'd want to leap onto something important that you said, and that is about intergenerational. Even the teenagers have a generation under them, yes. And a lot can happen in your kitchen. You don't have to be a poet in the schools. If you have a little sister and that little sister can talk about, you can talk about poetry with her. I was just in the first grade and asked what a poem was. And I thought they would say it rhymes, but they said it's about feelings. And I thought that is very cool. Yes. So they say you never stand as straight as when you look down to help another person. So all of you have someone younger than you. You're not at the top. You're at the top of the heap at 15. So it doesn't have to be in the classroom. Anytime you read a book to a little child or talk or introduce the idea that poetry is just the way we talk, you are schooling the next generation, just ad hoc, just incidentally. It doesn't have to have a room of its own. Thank you, Joy.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes, speaking of being taught, there are lessons, and then again, there are lessons. There is a song that came out. This is a song from a movie back, I think it was the 40s. The movie was South Pacific.
Oh, yes. 1953.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So this song was written by Rodgers and Hammerstein in 1949, produced the film. And I know this is like so archaic to our youth and teens who are with us today, but there was a song that was a part of that film that almost prevented the film from being published, from being released. And the song was titled, You've Got to Be Carefully Taught. You've Got to Be Carefully Taught has been sung by so many individuals over the years. And I know I don't have a voice, so I'm not about to sing it, but I will read the words. It's the refrain is short enough that I can share it here. But this is what we have to be mindful of.
Yeah, Joshua, can we see Joy on the full camera? Joshua, can we see Joy?
Oh, okay, thank you. This is these are the lyrics to "You've Got to Be Carefully Taught," and well, I'll just read them. You've got to be careful. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made and people whose skin is of a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. Now that song was absolutely radical, and it is presented satirically. So it's not a proponent for that. It's an awareness against that. But this song, James Taylor is a vocalist, you know, probably I would say in his 70s, maybe even 80s by now, I don't know. But he's known the world over. And he plays the guitar and sings this song so melodiously. But when you think about the words being approved in a film back in the 1950s, that was a radical thing. The government even tried to squelch this song being a part of that film. But there are champions of causes, of freedoms that are not just within the poetry circle, but these messages, these lyrics are so powerful. And I hope that maybe each of you will Google You've Got to Be Carefully Taught by James Taylor. And it's a sweet song. It's so sweet. You'd never really conceptualize the power of what is being said. And it was, I've not seen the movie, you know, I don't think I have the film that was South Pacific from the 50s, but I have had the privilege of presenting another event where we had opera singers singing this song because it's a song that the message will not ever die. And this is the kind of message that through our poetry, we are empowering our youth. We're waking people up. You know, when they say you need to be woke, this is what it's about. We want to make sure that everybody is woke. And this is an opportunity when we craft lyrics of poems and songs that are this significant, then we're hitting the mark. Another similar was in Hamilton, talk about my shot. And most of us have heard that. I'm not throwing away my shot. And he goes on because he's speaking with passion about what it is he wants to do. And he's not just talking from his perspective individually, he's talking about the country. And you know, this country is young and scrappy and hungry, just like he is young and scrappy and hungry. So there are so many things that we have. And some of the poems that we've heard even on this forum today are in that camp of enlightening and empowering and making sure that what we do doesn't just stay within our circles. So I would like to hear maybe another poem as we go around, do a round robin. And if somebody wants to speak to the issues of a poem, why don't we offer that opportunity? And I'm going to also ask if Grace would care to comment on anything that I've said, but perhaps initiate another avenue of dialogue for this intergenerational conversation.
Thank you. Well, I believe that what we have all been saying is that we are all one consciousness. And that is one thing you will find as you go through life. Have you ever been with people who just drain you and you feel like when you leave them, you're exhausted? Well, that never happens when you're with another poet. Why is that? Because our mothers would say birds of a feather fly together, but we say people of consciousness attract people of like consciousness. And that does not have a clock on it, and it does not have a calendar on it. But I do believe that there is more to be said about the creation of the poem. Joy touched upon the fact that we don't want to rock the boat. Well, I remember teaching my students, courage, you have to say everything that's in your heart. And then they say, but we went to a family reunion. And my aunt said, oh no, your father really was very good to you. So there's a fine line between hurting someone and saying your truth. But I would like someone to talk about how they balance out what to say and how to say it to have the most impact. Because none of you here have rejected the ear. Everyone here has a sweetness behind the message. We don't want an axe in the head because then people will turn away from it. So I'd like to hear how you measure what you write, how you figure out the tone, how you say intuitively enough. How do I say enough? How do I say too little? I don't want to say too little. So what goes through your mind when you write a poem to get your reader seduced, not rejected? I'd like to hear process. How do you write a poem? You get the idea, and then you, how do you measure and weigh the weight of it so that it really hits the target? Saini, you look like you knew the answer.
Okay, because that's just something that I've been thinking about a lot as well. I would say sometimes in my poems, I can be like kind of harsh in my delivery, but it's like, just because you're being honest doesn't mean that you have to be like harsh or heavy-handed. And it's like, depending on who your audience is and who you want to hear the poem, it's like, what do you want them to take away from it? Is what you're saying helpful? Like, how does that, like, how will they walk away from your poem? And it's like, a lot of times, if I am coming off that way, it's like because of how something made me feel. So how can I focus on how that thing made me feel so that the person who is hearing my poem can kind of understand and hopefully empathize with that versus just like feeling attacked.
Okay, very good. Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
Can I speak to that? I was gonna say that I think you have to, it is really a balancing act, and that you need to, I try to look at it from the person who I'm attacking. I don't like to use that word, but the person who I'm speaking of, that I try to look from their perspective and put their perspective in my poem so that they can see themselves. And then I'll say why, like, my perspective and how your perspective is like harming me, so that they can see like the exact trail of how this is harming me. Because if you just say why this is hurting me, people don't understand it. But if you can like really lay it out for them, then they can. And I try to see why they're doing it too, so that they know that I know why they're doing it, so they won't feel like I'm not paying attention to them.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Joran. That is, and we do need to be mindful that when we do present our views, that we give consideration to others' views. Not that we're looking to be swayed to change our views, but we all are learning on this journey called life. And while everything is not as black and white as oppression against people of color in America, we know, but sometimes there are views that perhaps had not been considered. And we just want to take that into account when we do go to be on that soapbox or platform, so that our position is solid, that we just have to be mindful not to shy away from our position, but just make sure that we don't discredit or discard somebody else's views that are different from ours. We just have to be that much more solid in our representation of what it is that we present. So I do totally agree. I like the idea of putting the other view in the poem so that there's a balance, counterbalance. That I think that's a very strong position that allows credit to the author. But we do want to make sure that we're just not placating and presenting it so that we can say, well, you said, but I said. So all of this is, we have to be legitimate in what we do and what we say. And that is, I don't know that I've consciously posted both sides of a view in a poem where I'm really challenging an opposition, but I like that. I know I'm going to be considering that more. So thank you for that.
Me too.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a very strong position to take. Okay. Anybody else want to speak on any of this?
You had Michaela.
Yeah, I know that both Michaela and I would like to speak to it.
Yeah, Marissa, go ahead. Go ahead. I can go after you.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, kind of in two parts. I know, Sister Joy, you were talking about maybe having us go around again and say a poem. And I have a short poem that I feel like kind of speaks to this as well, if I could share it after.
Okay. No, you can share it now. And
okay, well, here's how I'll frame my answer to this. I feel like poetry and writing, it is definitely a great vessel for communication, but also I think it's so personal because it is an art form. And first and foremost, for myself, I feel like I'm writing from the heart. So when I go about revising my works, or how do I want to frame it so that other people can connect with it, that is not usually on the forefront of my mind when I'm writing. The first thing that I'm thinking about is what message I have, what I'm trying to say, or what I'm trying to communicate. And then later I will go back and revise or work on it, or say, let me change this, or how can I frame this in a different way? And with this poem that I wrote, which I think is somewhat also fitting for intergenerational relationships, it's titled "A Friend Passed Away on a Saturday Night." And this happened this year, actually about a month or two ago. And my friend, she was actually an administrator at my school, but she was one of the friendliest faces that I knew at my school. I talked to her all the time. And so I was really, really sad when she passed away. And so I just wrote this, and I didn't edit it, and I didn't think about anything when I was writing it until afterwards. So here we go. On nights like these, stones find their way into my throat and keep the words from flowing. Know you put them there, stones and words and a part of me. I forget to check the time, but it doesn't matter because the hours stop for no one, and only death knows the horizon. I know reflections. On nights like these, I catch my tears in sunflowers because they remind me of you, and then I ask God why he leaves me with thread and broken canvas when I demand the tapestry. I cannot rely on memory. I catch the sunlight in an empty room and mistake it for your smile. I break my poems into pieces because they will never be enough. On nights like these, I curse the moon for shining and then repent. I knew you for seconds and an eternity, and I'm sorry that it will never be enough. On nights like these, I sink into the murky river and notice how the carp beg for air. I touch the sky and the clouds bleed 1,000 colors. I touch the sky and remember all the brilliant days my friend will never see again. I touch the sky and thank you for giving me so many. And at the end of that, I felt like I was writing it for one specific person. I was writing it to her, and it was less about how everyone else interpreted that or felt about that than it was about an emotion and that grief and needing to get it out there. So I feel like with all of my poems, I firstly think of my message and then how to deliver it.
Right. Well, that was certainly a beautiful tribute to her. And that oftentimes well, I'll put it this way, I won't say oftentimes, sometimes we craft a poem for a specific purpose, such as that. And then we may come back later and see a bigger picture. And it can be a message of healing for a much larger audience, a much larger group of people. So that there will be many people who would hear that and receive comfort and stand in solidarity with you in the grieving, which we all want to feel the comfort of others when we're in that place. So thank you for sharing it. And I'm sorry for your loss as well. Yes. It's beautiful to have had people in our lives that can evoke such beauty. And that's sometimes where I go with loss. It's one of those things that we know everybody's destination. Our journey is temporal. So we do want to appreciate when we can those that contribute to our life. Okay. Was it Michaela who also wanted to respond?
Yes. Thank you so much for just allowing me to have this conversation. I actually have to move real quick just because there's noise in my background, but give me 1 second. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to be able to quiet the noise in my background. But my thoughts when thinking about poetry and thinking about making poetry palpable is that poetry is pretty. Poetry is really pretty. And a lot of times poetry is the gorgeous paint that we put on bloodstains. It is the color, the splash, and the thing that make you go ooh and ah about the things that hurt your heart. And when having conversations with those who oppress you, who assume power over you, poetry is extending grace, because I am bearing my soul to you. I am telling you something that you have done to cause harm to me. And there is a lot of ways that I can react that aren't as pretty as poetry, but I'm choosing poetry to be able to welcome you to understand something that I have had to fight to conceptualize in my reality. And what I think about is that I don't owe you poetry, but there is a will in me that is bigger than the revenge that I could get, that is bigger than getting you to feel the pain that I feel, that pushes me to be able to say the things. And so I think that is what I think of when I think of poetry. I think of the line that Tupac made so powerful, a rose that grew from concrete. And when you hear that he has faced adversity and he has faced pain, but he has skyrocketed through it and he has succeeded and thrived despite. But the concrete, you have to think of the concrete. What is the concrete? The concrete is racism. The concrete is all the intersectionalities. It's food deserts. It's people not having jobs. It's people losing their lives right in front of him. That's the concrete. But poetry made that so beautiful that all you think about is the rose. And so I think that, to me, that's what it means to be a poet. It means that you are choosing to subscribe to something bigger than yourself. When you have the option to lose your mind, you choosing to subscribe to something that makes a change.
Thank you, Michaela. I don't know, we got to find a platform for you, Michaela. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Oh, by the way, if you close that blind, we can see you better, unless there's no light in your room.
Thank you. Yes, I have to turn the light switch on. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Let's see. I had alluded to one of our guests having a poem. And although he's not on the program, I'm going to ask if Bernardo is in a position to share his poem, Listen. I don't know if he's in a place where he can just spur of the moment pop up and give us that poem. Bernardo, is this too much short notice, or are you able to offer that poem today at this time?
My sister, I was listening to you, listening to all of you. And so I heard you say that, and I immediately went to the printer and printed it.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So I'm going to interject a guest artist right here, my brother Bernardo. Please do share your poem, Bernardo. It's so important that as poets, we're not just here to be heard, but we are here to listen.
He's a great, great poet.
Yes, he is. Bernardo Taylor.
Thank you. Listen to the words. Listen to them flow. Follow them along to wherever they go. Listen to the rhythm, hypnotism discreet will have you nodding your head, have you patting your feet. But you can stay in your seat. No, you don't need to dance. All I'm asking of you is just give them a chance to take root. Recognize truth when you hear it. It's all about love. Here's some for your spirit. Just listen. Listen to the words. Listen to them come. But where in the world are they coming from? They're coming from the heart, from the soul, from the core. They are falling from the ceiling and growing through the floor, bursting through the window, surging through the door. Every time the wind blows, I'm listening for a new revelation, a song or a sound, a vision that will lead me on to high ground. I'm going to tell you what I found right now. Just listen. Listen to the words now merging with the bass. Listen for the horn. See, I left a space for a taste of the reed to wail and to blow, because we truly need all the highs and the lows. It brings forth the balance to life that we know. It's the bitter and sweet that make it all complete. It's learning how to deal with your feelings that will keep you from losing your mind, committing a crime, wasting your time while running down alleys blind. Because God, defined by love and by design, we all were created to shine if we just learn to listen. So listen to the words, let them touch your intellect. Connect, reflect, inspect, project, and let them rain down on you like a waterfall all over your being. You might start seeing things in a perspective that you never noticed before. It's like walking through a brand new door. There's so much more in store for sure. You just might find your cure if you just learn to listen. So listen to the words. Listen with your mind. Turn them all around and see what you find. Listen like a priest to confessions of sin. Listen very carefully to where people been. Now, is that B-E-N-D or B-E-N? Whatever application gets you by, my friends. Ebonics, harmonics, symphonic, or chronic. You can take whatever and use it as a tonic to soothe your ills or get your thrills, can make you chill like peace be still. It'll pay your bills if your skills appeal. And it only takes one word to deal. Sometimes just listen. Listen to the words, feel them tingle as they climb, wrapped around your spine, clinging like a vine. Now up around your neck, yet stretching towards your mind, because every thought bears fruit in its own sweet time. So just listen to the language pouring from the heart. A little birdie told me that listening was an art. So listen for an answer right after you prayed. Listen to the things that people don't say. Listen to a look, to a stance, to a move, and if you practice often, you're gonna improve. You've only got one mouth, but two ears, so if you will, take a tip from your creator. Learn to sit still and listen.
Woo!
All right. Thank you, Bernardo. I said, oh, I hope he's in a place that he can have it ready for us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sister.
You're very welcome.
Welcome to all the young minds. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. And that's what we want. You know, that's the other part of being a poet. You know, there's three parts the way I look at it. Well, there's probably more than that, but certainly we have to read as poets. We don't just craft poetry from the ether. It's, yes, we are blessed to be inspired, but we do need to read other people's poetry. We have to read the classics, but we also want to read our contemporary partners. We want to read poets that are not of the same view that we hold. We want to make sure that if we have a chance to connect with poets in other countries, see what is happening in the other parts of the world. I frankly speaking, I'll acknowledge that I've recently only discovered that Black History Month is celebrated at a different time of the year in London, in England. And I just thought, like, oh, I never thought about Black History Month in other countries other than America. We just have this preconceived notion. But there are so many struggles that are human struggles. They're not American struggles. They're not even African American struggles. So there are so many that are, that stand in solidarity with us if we just reach out, because we, find out about the likeness, because we're also much more alike than different. So that's one thing. We have to read the works of other poets. And we have to make sure that we are listening when we are in the presence of, whether it's poets or persons of different generations. As Grace said, even the young children can teach us. So, and while we want to be mindful that we're teaching them, we also want to listen so that if there are lessons that they can teach us, because frankly speaking, all you need to do is look at the world of technology, and the young children, they're born with it. They're born into it. So they have the adaptability to be able to just connect with technology in ways that we're intrepidated. We're like, no, I don't want to try that. I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to break it. I remember saying that when I first was introduced to a computer in my workplace, because I had been on an electric typewriter for years. I'm telling my age, but that's okay. I was on an electric typewriter, and I did not want to switch to having a computer in my office. But these are things that, we laugh now. I just was so fearful about the cell phone, didn't know how in the world am I going to make use of this device that I carry outside of my home, But we laugh, but it was a real transition that had to happen. And we all adapted. And now where would we be if we didn't have a cell phone? And that's the reality. So we want to listen. We want to read works by other poets, not just those that share views that we have in common. And we want to take the opportunity to be that leader when we have the opportunity as a poet who has something to say and says it well. So there are just, all of this is a part of what we do, not just in our immediate circles of comfort. We have to branch out. We have to find how we can support others outside of our circles. And in doing so, we grow our own experience. We find ways that make a difference, whether it, again, as was said by somebody, whether it's lending support to a cause that was not something we started, but we can contribute to that. So again, there were certainly great leaders that came before us. Tupac, clearly, Dr. King, clearly, John Lewis, clearly, it goes on with, of course, the great poets, Maya Angelou and Lucille Clifton and on and on and on. But we want to be a part of that canon that says our voice resonates for a reason, not just because we enjoy it. Thank God we do. I think everybody here is not here begrudgingly. We love this thing called poetry. National Poetry Month, yay, here we are. Yes, poetry. But we want to make it count, and we want to make it count beyond our celebration of something that is wonderful to and for us. Okay, now we promised that there'd be more time for sharing poetry. So I'm going to shut up. I'm sorry, I'm going to be quiet and let somebody else speak. Who would like to go next in offering a second poem? And we'll start with Madam State Poet Laureate, Grace Cavalieri.
Well, I just love what you said so much. This is called a morning poem. And the reason I'm reading it is because Marissa says, first and foremost, she writes from the heart, and she sees what the truth is without weighing it. So I make my students write every morning, and they have to just choose 10 words, just 10 words. And if I give a group the same 10 words, each one will write a different poem. That's the miracle. Yes. So I'm asking each of you to write a poem every morning, regardless of who reads it, and just start with 10 words that you pick off a page. So I did it. I said, well, if I'm going to teach it, I better do it. So I've just picked 10 words, and I think they were like heart, dream, pond, just random. And this is what came out. Morning poem. Each of us has a poem. Each of us has a pond. Mine is deep. I sleep beneath the water in a silence so clear, the bloom of desire melts from me. Lightning turns fire to the water of pleasure. Fish are jumping in my heart. No, they are real fish dreaming of me. No, it is not a dream. It is a real heart. And I think that's where we all begin. No matter what our message is, everyone starts with their interior life, which Marissa pointed out so beautifully to us. And I would be very interested, as someone reads her poem or his poem, to name one icon in poetry that has influenced you. So perhaps you could just name one. Joy named a couple. And then as we proceed, I'd be interested in knowing who in the canon of literature has helped to shape you.
Okay. How about Deja? Deja?
Deja had to leave.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm seeing on the chat.
Okay, Deja had to leave. Okay, how about Ariana?
I'd be happy to. One person that has influenced me is Rupi Kaur. She's like a newer poet. And her poetry influenced me to write this piece that I'm about to read now. It's called Rose. And it goes like this. You came to me looking like a fallen flower, your expression wilted as if you were waiting for your next rain shower. I asked you why a red rose as beautiful as you was feeling so down and so blue. You said that you were upset that the summer had left and the autumn chill would lead to your death. I said, don't worry, the sun will come out and clear your gray skies. There's no need for any more tears to fall from your eyes. I said, only the most beautiful rose grows from pain to live through heat, snow, sun, or rain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ariana. Again, that is Ariana Bosley. And Ariana, we have to stay in touch more, okay? Let's make that commitment. Okay. All right. Let's see. Who would like to go next? Volunteers.
I can go next.
Okay.
Hi, guys. I apologize for the lighting in my room. For some reason, my light is not cutting on. So I would say I have a lot of influencers, but I wouldn't say that Tupac was the one for me. And the reason why I admire him so much is because I think that his work was vital to Black people who grew up in impoverished neighborhoods. It showed that poetry isn't just old white men talking about comparing the loves of their lives to summer days. It is people in the hood rapping and rhyming and misspelling words sometimes, and poetry doesn't care about your respectability politics. It doesn't care about your formalities. So I think that he was the one that did it for me and let me know that poetry is accessible to me too. So in honor of Tupac, I wrote a poem and it's called Simply Lemonade. And it's talking about the white gaze and a lot of the gaslighting that we tend to hear about growing up in the hood and how everyone's at a level playing field. And I just don't believe that that's true. And so I took the concept of a lemonade stand to talk about. So here it is. Ain't no lemonade stands in the hood. You can't wash away our oppression for 25 cents in a Dixie cup. Don't act like we're afforded the same opportunities. Don't try to gentrify your way into our backyard barbecues, dear white suburbia. Just stop it. Ain't it relieving you can swallow away your apologies with an ice cold drink? Got refreshing beverages to distract you from your guilt? Do you want to know the difference between the suburbs and the hood? In one of them, trick-or-treating is a survival tactic. In another one, trick-or-treating is a pastime. In one of them, my mother won't send Pookie outside because she remembers what happens last time. And the difference in the suburbs, lemonade tastes bitter. The difference is in the hood, souls taste bitter. Ain't no lemonade stands in the hood. Instead, we've got liquor stores, babies learning how to hold their liquor before they even learn how to hold their pee. And these are what we call our streets that everybody wants to live on because of what they see on TV. These streets where suburban drug addicts park their cars to pick up their weed, where people run in the nighttime. You ain't never had to speed walk down your streets. They call our joyrides drive-bys. Wish I could ride a Benz on the north side without men in blue armor assuming it's a stolen possession, dear white suburbia. When you pray at night, do you have a stronger satellite connection? Maybe God got tired of trying to reach us after the 20th blackout. Maybe God stopped trying to reach us after he realized getting closer to him would mean that he helped us pay our electricity bills. Maybe God doesn't understand our slang. Dear white suburbia, how does it feel to have God at your side at all times? To have the resources to sell all the lemonade you want while we're stuck wading in dirty water? How can you assume that living in the hood could be simple when we can't even have something as simple as a lemonade stand? Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I want to throw my pen at you. Thank you. Oh, simple as a lemonade stand. Michaela Lacy. Okay, I hope that anybody who is watching this today or 10 years from now, because it is being recorded, I hope they have an appreciation for what young people in America have on their minds. Thank you so much. And that goes to all of you. Thank you so much. Okay.
I'm sorry, Sister Joy, to cut you out. I just wanted to say really quickly, because I have to leave right now. It was amazing being here and hearing everybody's pieces. Truly, it was lovely. I hope everyone has a great day, week, life, and goodbye.
Thank you for being with us, Marissa. And tell Patrick I'll see him in about an hour or so when we start our next Zoom for FOLA. And thank you for being here so very much.
Thank you, Marissa.
Okay. So, let's see. Is who wanted to add another poem to the mountain that has just been blossoming with roses?
I can go.
Wonderful, Joran. Thank you so much.
So I was having a bit of issues, like technical issues, but the last major conversation, so I may have missed something, but the last major conversation I remember hearing was the one about when we talk about how we can speak to our audience without necessarily harming them and having both perspectives in the poem. This poem is not it's not like a half and half. It's more from one person's perspective, but being able to see a little bit of the other person.
Okay.
Why would you stay, they ask? Why won't you just get up and leave? It's hard to do that when you truly believe someone can change. When you love someone so hard and you believe that they feel the same. See, abusers don't start off as abusers. Mama told me he was a sweetheart when they were college sweethearts, that he used to serenade her in their co-ed dorm rooms with his guitar, that he used to whisper softly in her ear their plans for the future to go far off to some other country or an island. He told her he loved her voice, so she never feared one day she'd be silenced. She never believed this man was capable of any kind of violence, not even towards a fly. And she later found out he hates insects, especially anything that takes flight. Maybe he thought the flies thought that they were better than him since they could soar. They realized that life is too short, so they don't stay anywhere for too long because they love to explore. I guess that's why he works so hard to break my mama's soul. See, breaking someone's soul is the equivalent of breaking wings, and things that don't have wings, they fly away from you. And I think my mama grew dependent on him, but couldn't bring herself to fly or walk or crawl away. Do whatever it takes to keep her and her children safe, but see, I don't blame her. Sometimes I ask myself what I would do in her position. I would like to believe that I would leave, but you never know. Domestic violence is most common between the ages of 16 and 24, so although I don't foresee myself in such a twisted predicament, I know that my soul before coming to this earth didn't envision me sitting in a house where I could hear muffled screams and shouts coming from the bedroom right next to mine. So what I'm saying is, life don't give you a layout of what will happen while you dwell on this planet for whatever amount of time that you're here. Another thing I ask myself is if I could potentially repeat the cycle. Will these issues fester in my bones, germinate and grow roots and corrupt my soul? Will I even notice if it happens? My daddy says he's just so passionate about his family, would do whatever it takes to keep us together. Even if that means breaking us down mentally and physically, potentially forever. Broken things can't move. Broken things can't see a life outside of their brokenness. They're stuck in cycles of chokeholds from the world that constricts their airflow. Broken things take blows from the world until they identify with being the punching bag. Until they become scared when they don't get hit with a jab or thrown into cabinets. Until they really do think that they've tripped because of their clumsy habits. My daddy says the world is out to get him. That the system is preventing him from taking our lives to the next level. But Dad, all of the systems that exist right now don't matter to me. They are eclipsed by your persistent fist of fury that you release into our world and our home. And I understand that you fear being alone, but we fear you. And Mom, just know that I remember that there was a time when you flew, so please, let's fly. So I don't have to say goodbye to you in a bloody and bruised casket. I guarantee you that whatever's out here is better than this wastebasket that we live in now. And even if you don't know how we will survive out there, I know that we will. And we must live now before you get killed. And even if we died out there, at least we will have died exploring and soaring and free. Please call 1-800-799-7233 if you need me help. So that poem is a story poem, because I actually forgot to say the poet that I like. But poets like Zora Howard and Sonny Patterson are probably some of my most favorite poets who I like them so much, and they taught me that poetry is a story. I've always been like into stories and reading. I read a lot and telling stories. So I initially, like as a kid, wasn't as interested in poetry because I thought it was just flowery and describing the wilderness and stuff and not telling stories. So when I realized like poets such as Zora Howard and Sonny Patterson showed me that you can tell a story within a poem and have it, speak to people and whatnot. So.
Yep. Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joran.
Powerful.
Joran, that was a powerful piece. Thank you very much. Let's see. I have a poem I'd like to share. I shared one, but I think I would like to share a second one. This is Intergenerational Poem. And I think in terms of the, I guess, Georgia comes to mind. I have family in Atlanta, but this is a historical poem, and it speaks to the issues that are continuing with voter suppression and just inequality in general. The poem is titled, No Complicity. My brother's pain rages forth through the voice of my pen. With this mighty sword, I slay his villainous foe, for you see, his enemy is mine. I cannot acknowledge his castration and not be left barren, for his seed holds my promise of tomorrow. He has suffered generations of injustice, for it was his father whose college degree earned him a blue-collar job, but never the salary of his blue-eyed college alumnus. It was his grandfather who operated and opened elevator doors in high-rise buildings whose front doors were never open to people like him. His great-grandfather, whose house was burned to the ground while he helped neighbors register to vote, was his great great-grandfather who sharecropped for over 30 years, but somehow could never repay even half the debt for the land promised him. And his father before him, who hung from a tree for some reason no court record ever could explain, no more than I can explain to my neighbor's 6-year-old son why his daddy seems so angry at times. Yes, his blood boils even in my veins, and I will not stand humbly by allowing his denigration through commission of silent complicity. For he is my brother, and I will honor his struggle for dignity and life with my own. So, thank you. That is a piece that I wrote quite some time ago, but as I think about the intergenerational issues that plague our community, it's like they're built upon, generation after generation. And this is what folks in Georgia and all across this country are facing and fighting. And this is why Stacey Abrams has such a challenge before her, and why we as a nation have such a challenge before us. I'm hoping that we can continue to be spokespersons for equality through poetry. I absolutely, because I don't know, I say it's because I'm a native Washingtonian, and at being in Washington, there's no way you can separate politics from any part of your life, and certainly not poetry. So I hope that everybody here understands the power of poetry and understands the beauty that can be a part of it. And that's how we allow our voices to resonate. I want to offer my co-facilitator the opportunity to close out today's session, unless there is one who just has a burgeoning wish to say one more thing before we exit our forum today. Is there? If there is not, then I will ask if Grace can close us out.
I just want to
whatever manner.
I just want to say that I am fulfilled. I am bigger than I was before, better than I was before. I have such hope for the young poets I heard today. I hope I live long enough to put them all on the radio. That's all I have to say. Because everyone here needs here needs to be heard nationally. This is as good as it gets. It was strong, well written, beautifully felt, beautifully said. I am high as a kite on the 4th of July. Thank you for including me.
Oh, thank you for being here, Grace. I said, Grace is the perfect person to be a part of this forum, and you absolutely fulfilled all of my expectations and then some. So, Grace Cavalieri, thank you. Okay, that closes us out. We look forward to staying in touch with everyone. You can save the chat, please, everyone. The ellipses in the very bottom right-hand corner, if you click them, it says save chat. That allows you to keep all the comments and any links and email addresses that are there saved.